Good
Hello.
morning, everyone. How are you? I can't see anything. There we go. There's a little delay this morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I am live with the Westies today. He is a friend that born and raised in Ireland, and he now lives in the States. But we come up here today. He wants to tell you some stories that was passed down generation to generation from his family. And these stories were told to him by his grandmother. Good morning, Westies. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem. So, you have sent me a video yesterday to watch, and it was very fascinating. I'm glad you sent it to me. Do you want to tell a little bit about what we're doing today? What you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, Irish folklore, fairies is very prevalent in it. I mean, back in the day, everybody believed in it. They
Mhm.
believed it was just a part of nature and stuff like that. So, it's kind
And
of getting lost,
that's very fascinating to me,
right?
because now whenever you tell people that you believe in this or you believe that that's real or what, they look at you like you're crazy. Oh, but it's very, go ahead. It's very fascinating that
Yeah, I mean,
people actually believe that they were real.
without a doubt, like people, I mean, everybody, the older generations believed in it certainly. Now we're kind of getting lost a little bit,
Mhm,
with the advent of games, kids not wanting to go outside and
mhm,
spend times with their families around a fire and
mm,
like tell stories
mhm,
of bygone days of yore and stuff like that. So, but it's still there, it's very prevalent, and there's like a lot of folklore in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, parts of England too.
mhm,
You'll see the Manx, which is the Isle of Man. There's even folklore about that between two giants fighting. One a Scottish giant, one a Irish giant, and it's said that the Irish giant grabbed a strip of land and threw it at the Scottish giant, and that's what created the Isle of Man, which is it's
oh,
known
nice.
today, and that's a little island between Ireland and Scotland. So, and then there's like thousands of like mounds, like these circular mounds located all over Ireland, and they're just known as fairy mounds, and nobody
Mm,
touches them, so people that don't believe in it and stuff like that, they still, you would be hard pressed to have someone go in and like destroy it, say like a farmer
yeah,
who has
yeah,
one on a field for growing, crops and stuff like that. They
mhm,
would just let them go. They wouldn't touch them because you get bad luck if you destroy. So they're like,
yeah,
screw that, and they just let them be and stuff. But there's thousands of these mines dotted all over Ireland and stuff like that there. So it's very interesting, and they're like always circular, and they've been there for thousands of years. It's crazy,
yeah,
and they still stand today, which is crazy in itself. And then there's like fairies have been known to be around like certain types of trees, like white hawthorn trees are very, very rare, and they're actually protected. And yew trees is another one. If you have a farm or something, or out in the countryside, and you see a yew tree or a white hawthorn tree, it's been known, or it's been said that could be fairies around there because they seem to be attracted to white
oh,
hawthorn trees.
interesting, interesting. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull it up for everybody to see.
So there
Okay.
was like infrastructure developments over there, and there was like a section of motorway that they had to reroute the construction of it because there was like these white hawthorn trees that no excavator or anybody would touch them. They said, we ain't taking down these trees. So
Yeah.
it's funny that the development of a road structure, a new one, they had to
Went
reroute
around
it
the trees. That's
around
funny.
these trees. That's how much, like, people didn't want to touch them because you're supposed to get cursed if you destroy it.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring it up. It's not showing me a big picture of it. Is it showing? What's going on here?
And I mean, everybody's heard of the banshee and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
the little leprechaun that you see on Notre Dame football running down. I mean, that's Irish folklore. A little leprechaun. The way he looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's supposed to have a little pot of gold and stuff like that there. So there's actually said that he's a fairy. Like a little leprechaun and stuff. That's one out of folklore.
Mm-hmm.
And then people have heard of the banshee.
Mm-hmm.
And the banshee is, I mean, you can see it, but usually you can hear its cries. And it's said that if you hear a banshee crying, it's a sign of a death. It's like brings news of a death to a family member.
Oh my.
And yeah, and people believe, like a lot of people, even the older generation, strongly believe in the banshee. So if you're out there and you hear this high pitch scream like a woman in pain, but like deafening and this long
Mm-hmm.
without a breath, this long dragged out scream that they're saying, that could be a banshee and stuff like that there. So it's whether you're a believer or not. I mean, I kind of believe in it to a certain extent. I would never cut down a white willow, or sorry, a white hawthorn tree, nor would I destroy or mess with one of the fairy
Yeah.
mounds, the circular mounds. And I sent you a couple of pictures where you could actually see inside of one. And you can see, obviously the outside of it. But when you look inside, they're very small in shape and stuff like that. And they've been there for thousands of years.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen, but it's not letting it's not letting me do it. Of course, on an important stream like this, it's not going to let me do share my screen.
And,
But yeah, let's go in ahead in with the stories that you have. And I'll try and get this going.
okay, well, there was one that was passed down for me, like I told you, from my
Mhm.
grandmother. It's a story of the Lana She, and it's the fairy mistress, and she's supposed to cast spells on men that are lonely. And it said that she can appear, and if you talk to her, you're under her spell, and you might not live that long after it, like and stuff like that. But if you don't speak to her, then you'll have a life. Artists like and writers like Yeats and stuff like that. There have all
Uh-huh.
written about the Lanachi, and it's spelled Leanan, and then the second part is Sidhe, and it's just typical Irish folklore. Lore, in the mid 80s, growing up there in Northern Ireland, it was a particularly violent summer with the troubles that was going on.
Uh-huh.
So my family thought it would be a good idea because we lived right in the heart of the city where we were exposed to it, and like it was thought that if I went away for the summer up the country to my cousins, it would be a safer place for me, in case something happened. At that time, I was, like I say, it was terribly violent, and so I was shipped off in the summer of 1985 up to County Tyrone, and I spent the summer up there at my family's farm. And during the summer, there's not much to do. You're by yourself and stuff like that there. And we have all our families, that had a farm about 3 miles away. So one evening, I took it upon myself. I said, I'm kind of bored. I'll go up to my great uncle's house, and no, I couldn't get a ride or anything like that. So I said, I'll walk. And it's about just under 3 miles away, but it's all like country roads. And So that, I set off, and it was, daylight and stuff, and walked up there, and spent the afternoon, the evening with my cousins playing and stuff. So again, I had no
Mhm.
ride back to my where I was staying at my cousin's farm. So at night it was very dark. You had the lights of the farm and stuff, the exterior lights are on, but once you move down the laneway, it's dark. There's no street lights or anything, and there was this fog, the heavy, heavy, dense fog had set on, and you couldn't see your hand in front of you. It was like weird. So I'm like, oh, it was just kind of scary, and yeah, I
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
a young adult at the time, but it's just,
Mhm.
I realized, it's just my mind playing tricks on me, and not to take it too seriously. So I'm walking along, and like I say, there's like a heavy fog, and and I hear the footsteps of my own feet, like hitting the tarmac, the blacktop. And then I hear like a second set of footsteps. And I'm like walking, and it's so foggy and dark, I can barely see, but I know what way I'm going. And so I hear the second set of footsteps, and I'm like, I definitely hear it. So I then, I stop, and the second set of steps, they stop. So I'm like, somebody's messing with me, farmer's in his field, and he's came out, and, he's just messing with me. So I'm standing there in the fog and in the darkness. And the right thing, I guess, to do would be say hello. So, but I'm thinking, maybe if they're having a laugh at me, I'll not be part of it. I'll let them say hello first. And, but there's nothing, I didn't hear anything or see anything, just a strange, strange feeling. And as I better walk off home. And, I took off, I started walking again, and I didn't hear the footsteps. And, I went home, and my Aunt Muriel, she was there, and you got home safely. And, I thought I seen a ghost, just a
Yeah.
strange presence had came over me. And it was very, very weird. Very weird.
Very strange. Very
Yeah,
strange. Very strange.
for sure. But
I'm
I don't know if you want to play the little video.
I'm trying to. It won't let me share my screen for some reason.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, it won't let me share my screen. So, but it is a very, very interesting video. It's the most famous fairies of Ireland. It tells about the 8 most famous fairies of Ireland. Let me see. It's got the Grogoch, Grogoch. That's one of them. The Puka, that's the one. That's the horse, half man, half horse, I
Yeah,
believe.
or else known as the Headless Horseman.
Yes, that's what we know it as, is the headless horseman.
Right.
But it's actually a half man, half horse, and he carries around his head. But that is known as a fairy, and I did not know that until I watched this video. And then we have the banshee, which
Yeah.
we all kind of know about that one. Can you explain that one for the people that doesn't know about the banshee? What it
Yeah,
is?
I mean, it's just, again, Irish folklore, and it said that it's a woman, the banshee's a woman,
Mhm.
and like it's been taught to me that if you hear it, it's a sign that there's a death coming, maybe even
Mhm.
your own possible death.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And uh, I had one experience with that. One night I was at a friend's house, and this is before we had cell phones or anything. I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about like the late '80s, early '90s at that time. And I remember leaving a good friend of mine, David's house, and I go out the front door, and I hear this tremendous. It's like late at night. It's like 11:30. You know, I'm heading home, walking home, and I hear this tremendous screaming, high pitched screaming. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I stopped, and it's like, give me chills.
Yeah.
It gave me chills, like, you know, and I'm like, what the hell? And it's like a long scream, like, and like high pitch, but it wasn't a human scream because someone would have to like breathe halfway through the scream.
Yeah.
This scream was like continuous in length for like about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it was like the most terrifying sound you could imagine. And I never thought much of it. And then, like the next day, we had received a letter from Canada that my grandmother, who raised me and I live with, her sister had passed away in Canada. So I don't know. Maybe it was related, maybe it wasn't. But I thought it
Yeah.
very weird.
It is a very strange coincidence for sure.
Yes, exactly,
Let's see what
exactly.
else we have. We have the Dulhan,
Hmm.
Dullahn. What is that? Do
I'm
you
not
know?
too sure about that one, to be honest with you.
Let me see if it'll show me backstage. No, it's not going to. Let's see what we got. The next is the leprechaun.
Well, everybody knows a leprechaun. Big
Everybody
over
knows
here in
the.
America,
Mm-hmm,
it's everywhere.
mm-hmm,
You know, anybody Irish has a leprechaun, whether it's, you know, little front license plate thing or something. You know, fighting Irish, the football
mm-hmm,
team, it's
mm-hmm.
synonymous with them. You know, it's everywhere in like Irish heritage, the leprechaun, and that's one obviously. I think that might be the most famous one is the leprechaun. You know.
I think so. I think so. From what I remember watching the video yesterday, it said that, that if you befriend a leprechaun, they will, obviously play tricks on you. If you are nice to the leprechaun and help them out with whatever they need, then whenever they gave a story of a man who helped a leprechaun, was very nice to him, he went home and there was a mound of gold in his house.
Yeah.
So let's see. We have the changelings. That's one of them that they showed. Let's see. It's not wanting to show me anything, any video. And then the high fairies is one of them too. We have, let's see, there was one that was like a mermaid. What were they
Yes,
called?
yeah, that's. I'm glad you brought that up. Fairies can be in various shapes and forms. They can
Mhm.
be in the water, and they can be in land. I mean, obviously, they can be in the air. So you know, they can come like the mermaids and stuff like that. There,
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the Irish folklore name for the mermaid one is. Maybe it would have been on that video. It you know, I've never seen one like that, or you know, talk much about but I don't doubt their existence. Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It said that. Goodness, this is really frustrating because it won't let me bring it up. But it's basically the stories that we've all heard about mermaids. They were called something else, and they are actually a fairy.
Yeah, but yeah, the mines and stuff like that there, it's crazy. I mean, they're all over the place through the Arctic. You know, it's like there's literally thousands of them dotted all over Ireland. And
Hmm.
I mean, they're still there to this day. Anybody that visits there, I'm sure you'll see them. And like I say, whether you're a believer or not, you'd be hard pressed to have someone who would go in and destroy one because it said that you would have bad luck. And people are very superstitious in Ireland and here, of course, like, you know. But like I say, you would be hard pressed to find like a farmer or a development person to go in and destroy some, you know, like a mind like
Yeah,
that
the
because,
superstition that comes along with
yeah,
that, I'm sure nobody would ever touch it.
for sure.
Um, are werewolves a form of a fairy?
Yes, they are. They can be. Yeah, I read about that just this week when I knew I was coming on, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't know about that until I read about it this week. But yeah, they're part of Irish folklore as well. You can have like uh, fairies and stuff, which leads me to like over here. It's not just in Ireland, but in America here. I mean, we've all had the Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that there. So there
Mhm.
could be like mythology behind that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
that could, I'm not saying a fairy, but definitely like a, some kind of spirit or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? You know, really.
Interesting. Very interesting. Um, shoot, I wish this would come up. It's not. What's a puka? Do you know what that is? What kind of fairy that is? It's in the
Uh,
video. Oh, that's
yeah,
the horse. That's the half man, half horse.
yeah,
Um, let's see.
yeah. It's been said that horse, like again, like at night in the dark, you can hear the headless horseman, you know, going up the laneway and stuff like that. There, you know, a lot of ghost stories in Ireland, which references the headless horseman and stuff like that. There, you know, there's good fairies and there's bad fairies. You know, the good fairies will give you luck, like you were saying about the pot of gold with the leprechaun and stuff.
Mhm.
And then you have the bad, well, you could call it the bad fairies, like, you know,
Like the
give you bad,
Duhan, the headless horseman, they'll give you, you
yeah,
know.
and even banshees as well. Like, you know, they never
Mhm.
bring you good news, it's only news of a death. So,
That I was reading the changelings. Okay. The changelings is fairies can also procreate. They can have babies and they will switch them with human babies. Have you heard that about those?
yeah, yeah, I've heard that.
Tell me a little
And,
bit about those. What you've heard about them, if you can remember.
well, in Derry, where I was from originally, back in the 1600s,
Hmm.
it was said that a mother killed her baby because the baby had been stolen by the fairies, the
Hmm.
changelings, and the baby that she had then was like demonized and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
she thought the right thing to do was to kill it.
Yeah.
And so she killed the baby, and like, of course, you know, police and you know authorities like, what the hell are you at? And
Yeah.
she told them that her baby had been stolen and replaced by a changeling, and she was executed. And I believe
Oh,
that
was she?
they executed her, and I believe that they burnt her as a witch. You know, she was classed as a witch.
Oh,
Yeah, and
interesting.
yeah, it said that she's, you know, her spirit is still around, and there's actually people come from all over Ireland and Britain and stuff that do the paranormal, you know, tests and stuff, you know, experiments.
Hmm.
And there's one on YouTube where a woman she does it, and she goes up to this what's called the Bishop's Gate. You know, it's like a walled city, and there's
Uh-huh.
like seven gates. You know, it goes the wall. Derry's walls was built like over 350 years ago, and they're the best example of a complete walled city in Western Europe. And there's one of the gates that they entered to get, which still stands today. It's called Bishop's Gate, and that apparently is the area where she was executed and burned at the stake as a witch. And this lady did a paranormal investigation and her meters, and she felt the presence of the baby and the mother screaming during her paranormal
Oh
investigation. And it's
my.
on, yeah, it's on YouTube. I can look for it and send you the link, but it's kind of
Yeah, if
creepy,
you
you
can
know.
find it. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Most
where I was
definitely.
from, Derry, it was a besieged city, a lot of deaths there, and there's said to be a lot of spirits that are still trapped there from like hundreds of years ago.
Hmm.
and it's
Mhm.
like I grew up 100 yards away from like a cathedral, not a church, a cathedral, big,
Yeah.
massive, huge church, like on steroids. You know, it has like 250 foot, spiral,
Mhm.
and it's creepy. Like I grew up there as a kid, and we would go and look at the graves and stuff like that, and the graves were from like the 1500s and 1600s,
Oh,
and they're still there. I mean, they're still there. You can go and look at them, and
that's very fascinating. I love
it's
looking at old
creepy. It is,
graveyards,
yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, it's. I mean, it is without a doubt very, very creepy, and especially at night. I mean, one time there was back during the Troubles again. There was a British Army barracks located, pretty close to the cathedral.
Uh-huh.
It's no longer there because of the peace process, and there's no troubles now, thank God. But back then there was, and the observation people in the Sanger, which is the lookout post, the soldiers, they saw a figure dotting around this cathedral. So they had like what they call like a reaction force, where they would have like about 30 soldiers, and they would go out and they surround the perimeter of the cathedral, and they
Mhm.
searched it extensively, and they couldn't find anybody. But they had it. The one soldier who was on duty swore that he saw a figure, so it could have been a ghost or something like that. Who knows? But it's just pretty crazy,
Yeah, it is. Um, I have a question from somebody. What is let me find it, a bodock? Do you know what that is?
Bodok. No,
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what that would be.
Yeah.
Might be a
Somebody in the
fairy.
chat was asking. I'm probably sure it is, but
Yeah, my chat
yeah.
stopped, so it did. I just have the chat from 104. Oh, if I scroll up, I can see the chat. Okay, I was going the
Somebody
wrong way.
says, "What about the ones who had no grave?" I don't know what they're talking about.
Uh, they would probably be put into a mass grave. A lot of mass graves over there. People that didn't afford, their families couldn't afford for
Right.
burial, so they would just put them all into one huge
One
grave,
one
like
huge grave.
a bunch of bodies and stuff. But the city was besieged in 1690, and that's when like the Reformation in England, where there would have been a Catholic king for the first time. So, as you could imagine, it being religion, not all the territories was happy about there being a Catholic king.
Right.
So there was many battles over it, and the King James, the Catholic James, he was doing very well, and he was taking territory all over the British Isles. But when he came to Derry, he found stubborn resistance, and he told the city to surrender, or else they'll all be killed. And they said no, and the city was besieged for almost 100 days, and they survived. And even to this date, uh, Derry or Londonderry is one of the longest besieged cities in British history. That never surrendered, and that's why it's called the Maiden City, which is a
Oh,
great history.
interesting.
For back there. But like I say, they're like for such a small area within the city walls,
Mhm.
they ran out of provisions like food and stuff. So halfway through the siege, starvation was starting to take hold, and people were dying because they had no food. They
Yeah.
had eaten all their provisions, so they were like eating animals, cats, dogs. They were even catching rats and eating rats. And like to do that rather than surrender is pretty crazy,
It is.
But that's
It is
uh,
a
you know
strong group of people.
yeah, and like to this day they have Protestants have parades over there, and it's called the Apprentice Boys of Derry, and they celebrate the siege of the city and stuff they got there. It's crazy history, it's very rich in history over there, and it's a beautiful place. But like I say, when I was younger, job prospects wasn't the greatest. and I didn't want to, live a life of like, poverty.
Poverty. Mhm.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to emigrate to America legally, and I took the opportunity, and I came here for 2 weeks just to check it out, and that was 24 years ago.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Yes,
Um,
and like I say, I grew up there. The first 22 years of my life was
mhm.
over there, and I still go back and visit my family and friends and stuff like. So, but yeah, Irish mythology is very like in Scotland, Ireland, parts of England, and the Isle of Man is like it's pretty huge over there. And
Mhm.
there's actually content on YouTube about it, different channels. Uh, that one that I sent you, that's just one guy, but there's like a dozen other different people. So yeah.
Somebody's talking about the potato huts that on what was once potato farms in Ireland. Do you know about the potato huts?
Yeah, little huts made out of potatoes. Basically, it is what
Really?
it says. Yeah, you're talking like what you're talking about 1845 and stuff like that. When people were poor, they couldn't build a structure out of timbers or wood or anything. So what they would do is they had plenty at that time before the famine. They had an abundance of potatoes, so they would build forts out of like potatoes and stuff like that, and live in
Very
there.
interesting.
Yeah, and that's not that long ago when you think about it, like
Yeah.
1845.
Yeah, that's not very long ago, no.
Yeah, so and then
What
obviously
about
you got
the high fairies? Do you know about the high fairies?
no,
Alright, it was in that video. Let me
no,
see if I
I can't
can
say. There was some interesting
scroll
stuff in the
through.
videos that on that
I
video that I
know,
didn't
I'm
even know
so
about.
glad. I'm so sad that I can't pull it up.
Oh, it's fine. You can always
Um,
replay it at some time or share it to your
yeah,
community page.
I will. That's what I'll do because it's very interesting. But back to the changelings. Fairies would have babies and they would switch them with human babies. And sometimes they would, as they would grow up, they would be these, ugly, horrible looking like monsters. I guess, and they're very smart and a way to trick to see if you have had your baby switched with a fairy baby is to ask a question then or say something the opposite of what it really is, and if the child tries to correct you, then that was a way for them to tell that it was changed with a changeling.
Yeah, like swapped at birth.
Swapped at birth. Yes, exactly. So yeah, let me see what else. There's leprechauns, the Dulhans, Endless
Are you
Horseman, the
able to share any of
Banshee.
the pictures?
No, I can't do anything. It won't let me do anything at all. That's what's so frustrating right now. It won't let me do anything.
Oh, well, you're good. I'm sure you'll figure it out at some stage. This is like a new format. This
Mhm.
StreamYard that
Yeah.
I'm using, it's a little bit different than the one I'm used to with Deadlies.
Yeah, this is Restream. Most of the time it's really good and it works fine, but there are some times, like today, that we have glitches.
Yeah,
And I'm just glad that it didn't glitch to where I wasn't able to even come on. There's been some times where it won't even let me go live and I have to switch to StreamYard. So,
okay. Yeah, don't you love
so
technology
yeah.
when it gets glitchy?
Oh, I know, I know. Um, let's see. Thank you, Sweaty. Let me see here. And see if anybody else is saying anything in the chat that would add to the conversation.
Yeah, there's JJ. brought up a good point there about the potato huts and stuff. So yeah, the
Hmm.
people back then, they were poor,
Yeah.
and they were, given bad parts of the land that wasn't really worth much. You couldn't farm it or grow, much on it except for potatoes. So they didn't have much money. So, like they say, they lived in huts and they had an abundance of potatoes. So they were able to eat the potatoes and stuff like that. But then what happens is when you rely solely on one stock or one, crop, sorry,
Uh-huh.
and that crop fails, what are you left with? Nothing. All your
Right.
potatoes, your whole crops, something must have happened. They're blighted or something like that. Sometimes just crops get ruined and they're all destroyed. So that's what happened in Ireland in 1845. And you had like starvation, like it was like said to be up to as close as like 2 million people died of starvation. And it's pretty crazy. It's not that long ago, 1845. So then that's when you had like a mass, and those people that were able to get the money together and afford a way out of that,
Yeah.
uh, they emigrated to America and they got on what was called the famine boats. And if you were lucky enough to survive the transatlantic journey, then America was here, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the comment section who has Irish heritage, and if they look back at it, probably some of their ancestors was those very people that came across because of the famine and stuff from the
Mm.
1800s, and it's crazy. Like back then, like you've seen the signs, no Irish need apply. There was that many Irish on the East Coast that
Yeah.
it's not like now where it's cool. Like for me, everybody when I go and I do work for people and they haven't met me before, they're like, "Oh, where's your accent from? Ireland?" No, and it's like a cool thing. But in the 1840s, it wasn't cool to be Irish in America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They were mistreated a lot, like the Italians were,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of Irish descendants.
Do you know how that started or why that started?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. They're just like I guess you could relate to what and I don't want to turn this into a politics stream or
No,
anything like that, but
no.
what's happening in the southern border? You have an influx of
Yeah,
migrants.
yeah,
It was that back in the 1800s, but it was Irish at that time, so it was something like that, basically.
yeah. Everybody coming over on the famine boats, and there was just like so many people that it was just considered a bad thing, I guess.
Right.
I have a Scottish heritage, and I would like to look more into my ancestors and
I was going
see.
to ask you what your religion was, if you didn't mind me asking.
I am not a very religious person. So
You don't
I don't
really
have
have a,
one. No.
yeah, because like my religion, although I don't go to church that much now, but I'm Protestant, which means Presbyterian,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of like Scotch Irish, or as if you're over there, they call it Ulster Scotch, that emigrated to the Appalachians down to West Virginia and all
Oh,
Virginia,
okay.
all around in the 1700s and stuff like that. And the only thing that they brought over was their uh, moonshine distilling equipment.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're
Actually,
saying that they trace that back to the Scottish Irish people, moonshine.
one thing that I do know about my ancestors, my great-great-grandfather, he was the youngest of the brothers, and he was like a teenager, and they ran moonshine stills in Virginia, and the police were hot on their trails, and they all moved to West Virginia to not be in trouble anymore. So I do know how I got to West. My family got to West Virginia from Virginia, but they were moonshiners. So
Right.
yeah,
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to make money, you know?
yeah. So I mean, that kind of makes kind of like connected a piece of my puzzle with you. Just with you talking about the only thing they could do was moonshine to make money and whatever. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. But like me
That
back
makes
in the
sense.
day when I was a young teenager, not much money. So we would go up to our cousin's farm. And when it was harvesting time for the potatoes, we
Mm-hmm.
would gather potatoes and like you're talking backbreaking work in a field for 10 hours, just going non-stop. You stop for like lunch and that was it. You started at 6 a.m. and you finished at like 6 p.m. and it's actually 12 hours. And at noon you stop for about 45 minutes. And I mean, you backbreaking work and stuff. And I would gather
Yeah.
potatoes with my mother, and she wouldn't cut me any breaks or anything. I'd be like trying to stand up to stretch my back, and she would say, "Get your head down, get your head down." Oh, it was terrible, you know.
Oh,
But
I can only imagine.
at the end of the day, then you would count how many boxes, and there were like half-ton boxes. And me and my mother on a good day would put up like about uh, over 6 ton of potatoes, almost
Oh
7 ton.
my.
Yeah, yeah, just over like 10 or 12 boxes. Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of potatoes.
yeah, and that's just two people. So you can imagine if there's a group of 10 people in there, 12 people in there. That's just one way of doing it. They use what they call a spinner, which is attached to the back of the tractor. And
Mhm.
there's other different methods. You have a harvester machine where you stand up on the back of the machine and you sort, the potatoes that way. But most people use what they call a spinner, and that goes through all the drills of potatoes and brings them from the dirt up to the top. And you put them into the basket and then into the boxes and stuff like that. So heartbreaking work, but it gives you a good way, of work, a good ethos of work,
Yeah, yeah, it's money plus it fills up your belly.
right.
Somebody
And
is asking about the drum castle in Scotland. Do you know about the drum castle in Scotland?
I'm not too sure about the drum castle in Scotland. Scotland's got like literally
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of like different castles. I know the
Mm.
main ones like Stirling Castle, Edinburgh Castle, and there's actually a nice Scottish lady, Scottish Deborah, that's in the chat.
Mhm.
She would know more. She probably heard of that one that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Drum Castle. But Scotland's a lovely country. Anybody that's like, I'm Irish and stuff like that. But I've been to Scotland many, many times, and I've
Mhm.
been to Edinburgh, which is the capital city, and that's where a lot of the Harry Potter
Oh,
films and
okay.
stuff came from. The writer and stuff, she was from there, and it's a lot of that came from like Edinburgh and stuff like that. It's a beautiful city, great entertainment, good food.
Mhm.
Princess Street is the main street going down it, and then there's a street which runs parallel to that called Rose Street, and that's where all the little pubs and restaurants and eateries are. And I always had a tremendous time when I visited Scotland, and particularly Edinburgh. Great city.
They say, "Have you heard of the drum castle in Scotland? I was told the Irwins, who are my ancestors, used to hold it." So I guess that's why they were wondering.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Uh,
We
that's
can
about
do
it.
this again. We can
Yeah,
do
we
this
can go
again.
back and visit it with the videos and
Mhm.
like the pictures and stuff like that because the pictures are modern day
Yeah,
and it
they
just
are.
gives you
Yeah.
an insight to what they would look like and stuff and all the
Mhm.
different forts and stuff they got there.
But yes, I
Uh,
would
j-
love to have you on again and talk
sure, no
some more
problem.
about this. JJ says we went to a castle in Shannon, Ireland. I think it was St. John's Castle. It was a lot of fun.
I know that castle. Yeah, I've
Do you?
flown out of Shannon Airport many, many times coming back to the US and stuff like that there, and it's you have Loch Derg, which is close by there and stuff. But, it's a very scenic part of Ireland. But yeah, uh, it's brilliant. Anybody who has any Irish ancestry or claim to be a little bit Irish, if they get the opportunity, they should at least once in their lifetime go over there and visit. And I mean, the flights over there are not as expensive as what you might think.
Mm-hmm.
Round trip right now to Ireland is only $385, and that's not bad from the East Coast. From I think it's JFK to Dublin round trip, $385, and that's
Oh,
all
that's not
like
bad at all.
yeah. I mean, that's your taxes and all the fees and all that other crap. That's for everything, $385 round trip.
Huh.
So it's not that bad.
No, it's not. Now I do know that my great grandmother on my mom's side, my great grandmother came from Wales as a baby. So she was born in Wales and her parents brought her over here as a baby. So I do know I have that heritage too.
Yeah, Wales is a
Mhm.
great country. Very, very pretty. It's got like a lot of uh, hills, and I did a lot of stuff over there when I, when I was there and stuff like that. You did a lot of abseiling and rock climbing, and it's full of it, adventure and stuff.
But yeah, I would
Beautiful.
love to go and take a trip and just go to all of the little countries there that my ancestors come from.
Yeah,
Let's see what else. Hi, Black Bear. But yeah,
everybody hit the like button, and everybody
yeah,
that came in
please.
said hello to me. I like to say hello back. I didn't want to give all the shout outs at the start of the show. I just wanted to jump right into it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for coming, Westies, and we will definitely plan for you to come back and talk to us some more about
Absolutely.
Scotland and the different things that they have there.
Thank you very much for having me on, and I hope everybody has a great day, and
Yes, guys, thank you for coming.
drink responsibly later
Um,
for the Super Bowl.
oh, yes, today is the Super Bowl. Yeah, it is. I'm not a football person, and neither is my husband, thank goodness. But
Yeah, I'm
but
turning
yes,
not
for
to be.
everybody that watches the Super Bowl, good luck on the team you're rooting for. I don't even know who's playing. So,
But anyway,
all
have a
right,
great day,
guys.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I'll see you soon.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you.